talked about you've got some kind of a gasket or sealing.
This is my favorite sealing material. I have tried so many. I have tried EPDM, Buna, nitrile. My favorite sealing material is a Teflon rope. It's very similar to the Teflon tape you put on threads to when you thread something in, just like I used here to thread this in place. Yeah, the Teflon tape there, but it's actually been spun into a long cord, and that is one of the best sealing materials ever.
And it's called Teflon rope?
Well, Teflon rope, some places call it Teflon gasket material. It's somewhat expensive. I was a little bit loath to open this, but I figured, hey, you know what, we need to do it.
You said it was about $20 for that piece right there.
Not really. It's probably closer to 10. Yeah, it'd be probably between $10 and $12. So I'm just.
And how often are you opening this up if you're using it for?
Well, you don't have to open it up if you're using it. You don't have to open it up. I open it up because I'm in the experimenting phase. I wanted to check and see the plates. I wanted to see what was going on in here.
But if you're doing alchemy and you're dropping stuff out, don't you need to get in there to access it?
That's what this is for. This is bottom access. You just the elements collect in here. I just undo that, drain them off into a gallon jug, and pour another gallon jug in and start over. So I don't have to open this at all once it's sealed up.
These connections here, what's that about?
Oh, that's just okay. This is the gas out. As gas accumulates in here, gas comes out here and escapes, and this is the water in. This can be hooked up to a reservoir. I just connected it to itself to transport here.
Okay, so this connection is not the way you want to do it in a completed unit. You did this for the sake of transport.
Yeah, for transport. Usually this thing connects to a reservoir. It goes from here and here to a reservoir and then goes out. I just put this together so I could carry it here and didn't have something flopping around to transport. But you could do it this way. You could just unscrew that, pour out your elements, plug it back in, and pour your water in. Or pour your water in through here, and it would fill up.
Okay.
So it's very simple, very user-friendly. Once it's sealed, you don't have to take it apart. Once it's sealed, it's fine. I take it apart because I'm in the experimental phase. I want to test what it looks like in here. It's got jostled around a little bit. I'm going to build a much stronger unit that is actually epoxied together. So. Here in the future, but
maybe you can. These look like off-the-shelf components here. What are you using here?
Okay, these are. This is CPVC. Do not use PVC pipe. PVC pipe goes up to about 160 degrees Fahrenheit. CPVC can go up to 210, 220. If you're running that hot, there's something wrong. But I'm a huge fan of safety. I've burned things up. I've blown things up on purpose, not because I like explosions, but
most of the time, right?
Yeah, there was one that one time. We won't talk about that. I wanted to see what this can handle. So I've detonated units like that while I've been holding them, and they go, and they're fine. So that's why I like this CPVC. You can't put enough hydrogen in here with your stainless steel plates in order to really damage it. This is an off-the-shelf CPVC lid. They're about $100. I just happen to have one laying around, so you can do many things. You could put two of these on the ends and bolt them together. You could drop this unit down into a 5-gallon bucket. Don't really recommend it, but you could drop that down into a 5-gallon bucket and hook up a hose off of it. It doesn't really matter. I'm a huge fan of safety, so I like the indestructible nature of this.
Do you have the dimensions on these diameters, just for the people who want a recipe?
Okay. This is an 8-inch nominal CPVC pipe. That means that it's about 8.5 on the outside and 7 3/4, or excuse me, just under 8 on the inside.
7/8.
What's that?
7 7/8.
7 7/8. Thank you.
Do you have to worry about the cutting, getting rid of any magnetism or whatever that might build
this
up,
is
or static electricity?
Okay. Are you talking about the metal plates?
Right.
In the metal plates, what you see here are sheared stainless steel plates. And I haven't had to deal with magnetism issues like you would with a conventional Joe cell. If you're doing concentric stainless steel tubes, you do have to deal with magnetism issues, which is very easy to just simply use a torch, heat them up, and take out the magnetism. But with stainless steel plates, you just shear them, don't laser cut them. If you laser cut them, it's a little more expensive than shearing. If you can find a shearer, it's a good way to go. I have lots of stainless steel plates if people want to buy them. Pretty cheap too. I have lots of 6x6 plates. So you just stack them together and hold them apart with spacers, and then I've got a piece of plastic that I had laying around the shop and just clamped it together. So pretty simple.
Since this is going to be cut into several segments, let's go ahead and mention your domain name, Alchemical.
Okay. Alchemicalhydrogen.com
okay.
and ancienttech.com.
And tech is T-E-K.
T-E-K, thank you, yes. Ancient Tech. Oh, and the other thing that I use to hold this on is plumbing goop that you can find at Home Depot.
Both of them? So you put plumbing goop on one?
Goop down.
Okay.
And then you form your gasket, and it's actually round, completely round when you start here.
And this is where it overlaps, right here. And you get a good seal where it overlaps.
Very good, yeah, very good seal. Usually I'll fold it over the top. That got moved a little bit, and see, it's still sealed anyway. So that's why I love this stuff. And then I just use a stainless steel plate that I clamp down on top. This has some grooves in it to guide the Teflon where I want it to go. As you can see, the grooves all in there as well, just to seal it up very well. On that
this
system,
was machined here?
Yes, it's machined out. I cut it. Actually, it was cut for one of those, and I just said, you know what? I'll just throw it on here.
What kind of material is this?
This is 304 stainless. Since this isn't being used as an electrolysis section, or excuse me, in the electrolysis section, you can use 304 versus 316. And it's about a third the price, or 2/3 the price. What's that?
No. Your plates are 316 though, right?
My plates are 316.
Right.
Yes, my plates are 316.
So let me ask you a question. If you take a neutral of each cell, the voltage of the cell will go up, right? How you came with 16 volts and 4 neutrals for each cell? Out of experimenting, trial and error.
Yeah, experimenting to find the best voltage to drop this out.
So if I put three neutrals only, it will generate more heat.
It will generate more heat,
What about elements?
but you've got you're putting a lot of power in there.
But what about elements?
I don't know. We're still in the experimental phase here. Okay, this system. People have been probably transmuting elements more than they realize, but this system I've only been working with for like 4 months. So this is so actually transmuting elements and seeing all the ramifications. It's wide open right now. So I encourage people to experiment. I encourage people to build these devices. Maybe get some gold and platinum from Ancient Tech and seed it and start playing with it. Somebody asked me in the elevator about using seawater, and like the gentleman did in the experiment or in their work they electrolyze the Great Salt Lake water and they get a lot of gold out from it. I would be very careful with that because you're producing a lot of chlorine gas. Very, very dangerous stuff. You definitely don't want to be running that into an engine. You want to be washing that out. So I'd be very careful using seawater, but spring water, Ormus water, if anybody's familiar with Ormus, distilled water. If you're going to spike it, if you're going to put some gold in there, if you're going to put some platinum, iridium, something like that.
Is this purely scientific? In other words, whatever elements are in the water are going to be multiplied, or is there some intention so that human thought and intention and you can create or diminish depending on intentionality, or is it completely scientific?
That is a very good question. I haven't seen intention be involved in this yet, but it's still a fairly young field, so we might see more of that in the future. So intention, I do a little prayer meditation each day. I get up every morning with the sun and or before the sun, and do some prayer and meditation and do some sun gazing. And I put the intention into the day that the highest and best that is going to happen. Highest and best is not always what we want, okay? Highest and best is what the universe has in store for us. It's the path that God has for us. You know, however you want to put it, the highest and best may not be what we want, but it doesn't mean that it always happens, okay? But so I try and hold that intention all day, and I try to. It's difficult to work actually in my shop with a bad attitude and such. You know, based off of our experience that you've actually talked about before with your thoughts and your emotions and our etheric energy devices. So maybe as we experiment more, we'll see. You know, maybe meditation is the best way to go. I mean, I've seen some amazing things done by people all praying and meditating in unison around a bowl of water and manifesting reality outside of themselves. So really amazing stuff. So maybe we'll see more of that as more people work on this. Mm-hmm. It's like the microchip manufacturers. They discovered that the computer manufacturers discovered that computers work faster when the person operating them is in a good mood. So instead of encouraging everybody to be in a good mood, they started working on ways to shield their microprocessors from emotions. Okay? Seems kind of counterproductive to me because, hey, what if we all got in a really, really good space and we can create supercomputers? Hey, what an interesting idea. So, and I believe, anyway, that's esoteric. We won't need to go there.
Okay, we've talked about materials. Is there any reason to explain the materials in the bottom? This is my base.
This is just a base that I use to hold this up off of the
yeah, it could be anything, basically.
It could be anything, basically. As a matter of fact, I had originally envisioned this thing flipped upside down, and I wanted to call it my little R2 unit. Yes?
Vernon, when you put materials in there,
yes.
What's the maximum amount of increase that you've seen when you put in like one part of gold that you would see maybe, you mentioned earlier 15, 16 times, or how high do you think that could go to?
I don't know yet. We've seen at least 13 times multiplication. As soon as we get we know that the elements are being multiplied because we've measured it with certain detection devices. We take it away, we've still got the same amount that we started with, excuse me, and more are over here, and we can detect the elements that are over here, but we don't know exactly how much.
Is it
so we've seen at least 13 times.
Have you tried to put it into circulation, recirculation?
Put it back in?
Yeah, and recirculate.
No, I have not yet. And that's definitely on the list of things to do.
Is it conceivable that you could have a continuous flowing of your of the things that you're making? You seed it with gold, for example, and then you run it and you pull it off at a certain rate, and you just keep pulling it off, and it's being created from the hydrogen and oxygen gas and the alchemical process.
Well, that's essentially what we're seeing here. You pull it off over here.
Isn't that an infinite scenario, not a 13-fold?
Well, I guess I see what you're saying. It would be infinite if you just let it keep on going. Mm-hmm. Okay, I do turn this off. I do. The sun goes down, and everything condenses, and I take it apart every once in a while. So I don't know the exact numbers yet, and as we quantify this, we're in the advanced theoretical stage here. Now we need to quantify the numbers. We need to start figuring out exactly what's happening here, so we can get ratios of hydrogen, oxygen elements generated. And there's a lot of experimentation to be done. Mm-hmm. But this is fairly new. This is just 4 or 5 months old, this particular deal. So, yeah, the Teflon tape there. But it's actually been spun into a long cord. And that is one of the best sealing materials ever.
And it's called Teflon rope?
Teflon rope, some places call it Teflon gasket material. Mm-hmm. It's somewhat expensive. I was a little bit loath to open this, but I figured, hey, you know what, we need to do it.
You said it was about $20 for that piece right there.
Not really. It's probably closer to 10. Yeah, probably between $10 and $12. So, I'm just
And,
gonna
and how often are you opening this up if you're using it for?
Oh, you don't have to open it up. If you're using it, you don't have to open it up. I open it up because I'm in the experimenting phase. I wanted to check and see the plates. I wanted to see what was going on in here.
But if you're doing alchemy and you're dropping stuff out, don't you need to? You talked about you've got some kind of a gasket or sealing.
This is my favorite sealing material. I have tried so many. I have tried EPDM, Buna, nitrile. My favorite sealing material is a Teflon rope. It's very similar to the Teflon tape you put on threads to when you thread something in, just like I used here to thread this in place.
Get in there to access
Nope.
it?
That's what this is for. This is bottom access. You just, the elements collect in here. I just undo that, drain them off into a gallon jug, and pour another gallon jug in and start over. So I don't have to open this at all once it's sealed up.
These connections here, what's that about?
Oh, that's just okay. This is the gas out. As gas accumulates in here, gas comes out here and escapes, and this is the water in. This can be hooked up to a reservoir. I just connected it to itself to transport here.
Okay, so this connection is not the way you want to do it in a completed unit. You did this for the sake of transport.
Yeah, for transport. Usually this thing connects to a reservoir. It goes from here and here to